hex head, whatever you want to call it. You're gonna get that one out. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. And then 5 mm for this one here. And then back to 4 mm on this side, this one here. So just take a note, this one is a longer thread, like longer bolt, so don't mix it up. I'm going to keep it on the other side. Do the same thing for the other side. All right, so we got the screws out. Once you have those out, we're going to pull this away. Just kind of to remember, this has, I think, about 2 grommets, like the little pin or stud that goes into the rubber grommets. That's where it's holding it. So when you're pulling it away, just be careful and start slow from one side. So I'm gonna go do that. Here it looks like there is one, so I'm gonna just go in and reach in. So on this side there is no, I'll show you guys, give me. So I'm gonna keep going. Looks like there is one here, so I'm gonna pull that, and that's it. Let's see if we can get this out. Just be careful, this is all plastic, so you don't want to break. I just need to be careful, I don't want to. There we go. All right, so this thing is here, kind of locked in a little bit. These ones, if you can see these tabs. So that's what was kind of stuck on these. But it did come out, and as I said, there is one here and there is one here. And if you look into the body of the bike itself, there is one here and here. So for these ones, just kind of try to reach in, get as close to this as you can, and then pull it, versus just kind of from a distance. The chances of breaking it is higher. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the other side. Should be the same technique once again. Let me move the camera to that side. Let's do this again. So this is on the left side, same technique. I'm once again gonna just feel there's one here. It's not really that tab, it's a little clip that's probably holding it in place. So I'm just kind of just be patient. It's again, this thing is plastic, so it can easily break. All right, so these pieces are out. Now for the next part, what we're going to do is, once again, we're going to take these bolts out. You can see this is for this top fairing piece right here. So we have 2 bolts, one on this side, one on the other. We're going to take that one out again, 4 mm. And this also is very loose. And this one doesn't have the washer, the plastic nylon washer, whatever. And same thing on the other side. I'm gonna get that one out. So same thing, even for the other side, no washer. Once that is done, this also has that little tab somewhere here, so I'm gonna be careful. Once again, if you can see my hand, I'm reaching in. This is where that thing is, so I'm trying to reach in and pull from there as close to that tab I can, so I don't snap it. And just like that, this piece comes out. So we're gonna keep it to the side, and now we have kind of completely exposed the gas tank here. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to remove this bolt here. So this is going to be 8 mm, and if you have an extension, or I think I don't need the extension here, but let me take this one out. Yeah, I don't need extension for that one. And this is what I was talking about, the first trim piece that came, it kind of holds. So you have to push it out of the way, and then you pull here, basically this, basically, and here to get it out of the tabs there. Anyway, back to this screw here. So I'm gonna get this one out. This is again 8 mm socket. It's not hex. Just keep that in mind. Let's go to the other side. So we do the same thing. Once again, 8 mm. Get that out of the way. So now, with this open here, trims out these, we are able to pull this up. This is the gas tank, if you can see. Now we can pull it. Let me go just a little bit further so we can show. I hope this is good. All right, I'm also going to try to look for something that I can wedge in between. I'm not going to remove the whole tank, but what I'm looking for really is kind of push this down a little bit right here, and I'm trying to just lift it enough, just a little bit, to get access to this plug here. And I'll bring the camera close, but I think this is enough room. But this is what we're talking about. I hope you can see, but this is the O2 sensor plug that we're gonna unplug or take out. All right, so I got some light. This is what we're looking at. So I'm gonna try to reach in and see the clip again, just like any other connectors. So this is actually, you guys, stuck in I think I would need a little more room. So let me try to see if I can lift this tank just a little bit more. All right, much better. I did find something to lift the tank just a little bit more. And this is what we have to get out from here. So this thing, or this particular connector, is basically connected to this little metal piece to keep it in place. I'm going to try to get this out of that metal piece first, so I have some extra room to work with it. Or let me see if I can go to the other side and just pull the connector. Looks like I can do that from here. All right, so this should work. That's it. So if you could see, this is the little tab on the other side, on basically this side, and all I did was kind of push the screwdriver and push that little pin out, and this came out right away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still move it back and leave it right here. We're not going to use this connector, we just needed to unplug it, and that's it. So we move back. I'm going to drop the tank back in its place. Basically, and we're going to put the all right, let's just line up everything the way it was, and we basically first start with this here, the 8mm. Just want to make sure I'm lining it. That's it. Once we align everything, we're gonna make sure it's all tight. So same thing on the other side. Make sure you're not cross threading it. Looks like this particular nut, the 8mm, it's going straight into the piece of metal, into the tank. I don't know if there is a nut behind it welded, but I would be very careful kind of doing that piece. All right, so there, and let's go ahead, put these ones, the 5mm. So all right, so I got that in place. Now I'm going to move to just getting this 5mm in place. Once again, I'm not going to go all the way, not tighten it right now. I just want it to get in the place, and then all right, so that one is tight. I'm going to make sure our 8mm socket here is tight all the way as well. Once again, as I said, I'm going to be careful here, knowing that I did not see a bolt basically in the back, so maybe this is just going into the threaded metal that is part of the tank itself. All right, I accidentally kind of pulled it up a little too much, so I put it back in place. Now with that being done, let's go back and put the top piece from here for the fairing. Make sure you line it up correctly. Everything looks good, nothing is kind of pinching anywhere, it's all good. And once again, on this piece, the top piece of the fairing is, here is the two tabs. So I'm going to line it up and then push it down. So let's go do that. Aligned and pushed it. All right, it's in place. Then we go to getting the 4mm, and if you, as you're doing this, there are These things are different sizes, so just make sure you know which one is coming from where. So these ones didn't have, if you remember, any washers, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that here. If you remember, when I was taking it out, it didn't feel tight enough, but again, just make sure it's not over tight. These things are again very flimsy. I'm gonna go to the other side, get that same thing taken care on this side here. All right, that looks good. Now you're gonna go put this trim piece here. Remember, this, and this, something to keep in mind. And along with it, make sure you are aligning these to kind of be stuck on under these here and this here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that. Once again, the way I do it, I first align these, try to push those in, but in this case I will have to kind of get this piece here, this piece here, make sure that is in this one here. So we go put that here. I'm gonna align that, push this in. Yes, I can see where this is going, so I'm gonna go ahead, push that one in as well. I'm gonna align these. So we gonna put that trim piece on the other side as well. Same thing, just make sure you know where those tabs are going and take your time to push it in first. Things are lining correctly. Don't be in any rush. It didn't give me any or too much trouble, I have to say, but there is definitely a trick. You have to make sure this piece is lined up correctly. All right, we are good. I'm gonna go ahead and put the screws here. This is the longer one for the front, if you remember. So let's go ahead and do that. And then the smaller version without the washers or the nylon washer, that's gonna go in the back. Sensor's getting unplugged. We didn't have to remove it because the header is still the stock header that I have, and there was no need to take that whole thing out. I'm just gonna leave it there in case later when we, as I said in my earlier video when I was removing the servo, if we do decide we want to go back to stock, I don't think that will happen, but just in case it's there, we can plug it back, we can get the ECU flashed to stock and reactivate the O2 sensor. Same thing for the back. So that's all for that part. All right, so if you're just trying to get an idea of how to get the O2 sensor disconnected, this is it. You can